Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Newman from TDL. Welcome to the webinar from Fanvil and TDL Gentek. Today, we're going to talk about how to modernize some of the communications in Canada with Fanvil intercoms and the security side, some IP phones, paging, and wireless solutions. Um, Today we have Tommy Lee from Fanvil, who is the Vice President of Sales in North America, joining us for this seminar. I'm going to start off with some few slides to keep you updated on TDL Gentek, and then we will then switch over to Tommy. Next slide, please. Second slide, please.
Yep.
I'm
showing slide 2 now. Yep.
Yeah, this is actually okay. So now we have this is the agenda for today. So we'll introduce ourselves, then Tommy is going to go over the Fanvil introduction, the products and ongoing promotions and Q&As. For the time duration of this webinar, you can go on to the Q&A box on the top menu bar that you have right beside chat. Then you can ask some questions over the Q&A. And if you like to use the chat, you can use the chat. We'll respond momentarily. And we'll also reserve some time at the end that you can ask your questions. And if there's any other questions that we haven't gone over on the chat and QA, we'll be addressing that at that time. Next slide, please. Next, please. Yeah. At TDL, we bring in the right products at the right time is our business. So we evolve with the market trend, and we evolve with the business that you're in. So if there is any other products that any of you are selling very well, but we have not been able to provide you for that product line, please feel free to let one of us know, and we'll be able to source on those products and also explore the options for bringing those product lines and categories into us. So we have been in the Canadian business for over 45 years, and we're serving Canadian, 100% Canadian owned, and that's our business and commitment to the Canadian marketplace. Next slide, please. So we are across Canada with West and East warehouses, and we have also multiple sales offices location to serve every one of you within Canada. Next slide, please. So as I said, why us? Why TDL Gentek? 100% Canadian owned. We have nationwide facilities that you can see, over 250 brands, and actually we're adding to our portfolio for the brands that we are offering, and our commitment to the Canadian marketplace, and we have good star ratings with our customer for over the past 45 years. So that's our value. Next slide. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Tommy to the webinar. And Tommy, here we go.
Great. Thank you for the intro, Newman. My name is Tommy Lee, and for those who aren't familiar with Fanvil, we are a hardware manufacturer. One of the common threads that we have is that all of our hardware that we manufacture are all SIP-based endpoints. So we have factories based in China as well as Vietnam that we manufacture all of our parts. And besides Fanvil, some of the names that you might see associated with Fanvil is a subcategory group called Linkvil. Both categories are the same. You may say that Linkvil is a subdivision of Fanvil, where much of our hybridized or wireless solutions will be synced in for Linkvil. And you may be hearing about some of our solutions today as we move forward and go over really some of the way we differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. Similar to Gentek, we've been in the marketplace for a long time. Fanvil has been marketing our devices for over 23 years and devote much of our revenue to a lot of R&D things to really come up with a lot of new solutions. As you can tell, we manufacture many things. I mean, IP phones is one of our big baselines, but we also manufacture security products, intercoms, and broadcast solutions that really provide a very large umbrella that gives partners such as yourself a very wide solution that ends as an IP endpoint. Phones is one big portion of that, but as you deal with phones, you realize that audio and video communication go to many, many other assets. And we also provide tools that allow partners like yourself to overcome some of the obstacles that we have in the marketplace. Just to give you a quick, oops. Just to give you a quick idea of the solutions of products, we're not going to go over all of these things, but kind of give you a high-level overview. And as you can tell, we actually have solutions of IP phones, intercom broadcasting, where we actually have intercoms that provide both video as well as audio solutions. We have broadcasting solutions where we have PA announcements, console solutions, even IP speakers as well. So it goes across the whole thing. Even access control. Access control, we have outdoor units that provide ruggedized outdoor units for outdoor, including residential, commercial, as well as businesses, and indoor units as well, which allows people to go ahead and see who is at the gate, and with a simple push of a button can kind of go in and allow themselves to get in. One of the new additions that we had is now we've added mobile capability, of which we use and take advantage of the Amazon network, which is something that's great because a lot of people are concerned about security, and that we allow, with our access points, people to go ahead and access mobile access throughout things. And here is Linkville, where you'll find a lot of our products with antennas, primarily looking at ideas for wireless solutions moving forward. How do we go ahead and differentiate with the rest of the world? I mean, one of the last things I wanted to mention is that for many of the seasoned veterans that are out there today, we also have all the basic tools. And what I mean by basic tools, we have redirection servers. We have all of the basic tools that people need to support auto provisioning when the PBX or your own provisioning server supports that. So all the tools are in our closet, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. To help in this transition, we also have local support. Not only myself, that we have local commercial support, where I can go ahead and work along with Gentek and everybody, but we also have local technical support. Hector Zarita, who actually heads up our East Coast time, they can go ahead and actually provide online technical support. And there's another person named Pedro who can also work along with him. So the good news is, as you're going ahead and exploring our solutions or implementing our solutions, there is live support that we can provide to our partners, when you go ahead and come across something that's unfamiliar with you. Okay, so given that, let's go ahead and just talk about some of the solution products. Again, we're just looking at IP phones. Some of the things that we have, our most popular new entry is our V-Series IP phones, and it really expands across a wide variety of items. We have a couple of new items that we released. Some of them we have like wireless handsets, as well as the first one to introduce a wireless handset on the low end. But we're not getting rid of some of our legacy phones, which really put us in the marketplace, where we have our XU product line, our phones that's catered to senior living, which has large buttons, as well as console phones. I'll talk a little bit more about the 2-wire phones, because we realize that people out there come across places where they don't have the funds to change over their cables. We actually have phones that will cater into 2 wires, and we'll have all the tools to show you. And then bottom, we also have the ability to go ahead and entertain hospitality phones. All of these phones are IP, they are not analog. And the great news about IP is that you can then have direct connection to all of the PBX manufacturers to go to if they have it. But if they don't have a Cat5 connection to all the rooms, we actually have 2-wire phones that will go ahead and meet that solution. So let's go ahead and start off with some of the ways that we differentiate ourselves with the V-Series. We just recently came out with the V66 Pro and the V62 Pro. This is really nothing new in many of the marketplaces, but what we've done is we've really taken our top executive line and being able to add wireless connectivity so that you don't have to deal with squirrely cords that will tangle up over time. And as well, it also gives the end user some freedom of going out and being able to use it. One of the different things that we've actually done is, this is such a valued feature that a lot of people look at, we're the first manufacturer to offer the same exact wireless solution on our baseline handset. We realize that given today, people don't have the budgets that they have as they did, a couple of years ago. But nowadays, we actually offer the same feature and offer that same wireless because let's face it, when you're looking at the baseline, all the phones really kind of are the same when they all have color screens, they all have PoE, they have all these switches. How do you differentiate yourself? Well, now we differentiate ourselves by offering a wireless handset solution in our baseline called the V62 Pro. I'm not going to go ahead and go over all of these slide sets, but you could say that even in our baseline, we offer a color screen, the ability to support all of the high definition codecs, as well as support as gigabit Ethernet ports, PoE, and everything else. And basically offer all the basic features in the small package if you're not willing to settle for the executive. And this is another way that we can go ahead and differentiate ourselves. How do you go ahead and pair this Bluetooth? Some of the integrators out there saying, oh, another wireless thing that I have to pair. Not at all. We've actually done auto pairing where you could just take any generic Bluetooth handset that we provide with the phone, and you just have to populate it with the phone. And guess what? You can have automatic pairing so that it is really invisible to the end user. There is no pairing procedure that we all deal with our headphones and our mobile phones. You just pop in the desk set on the phone and it'll do an automatic pairing so that it just takes a couple of seconds. And we realize that these things are critical. And the good news is that it charges when it's on the desktop station moving forward. Of course, we cannot ignore our existing XU and X series phones. These are the product lines that came on board when I came on to Fanvil many years ago. And this is still famous, where we have our famous design where we actually have dual, if not triple displays on one phone, where you have the X6U ranging all the way from the XU to the X4U phone. These are still big sellers with us globally. And that a lot of people like this design primarily because it actually mirrors many of the phones that are out there in the legacy world. When you look at the old Panasonics, the old Nortels, they have a very, very similar design where they have the speed dials going up and down the side screen. And yet when you look at this phone, the transition is really seamless in terms of going from one to the other. And then, of course, for our reception phones, instead of building an extension module, we actually have a phone that's dedicated to the front. And the good news is that with less real estate, you can actually support up to 106 DSS keys by having one phone that's put in the front desk if you like to have a button push, but we could also use our console phone to do that as well. Now let's talk a little bit about our two-wire solution. Very often, we come across properties that don't have the budget to really rewire the Cat5 and Cat6 cables and go into two-wire. Many of the people use ATAs. But the problem is that with ATAs, you end up with an analog phone at each of the rooms. And when you give with an analog phone, all you have is dial tone features. Whereas if you need IP features such as call parking, being able to conference, do all of these different things, then you can consider our unit. We support that at the gateway by providing a 1, 8, or a 24 port at the internet switch below, and then it will go across a two-wire solution. And at the end, we actually currently have two design phones that we've done. One that's for the business environment, where we have the X303 two-wire and the H1 two-wire. What makes these phones different is because in most two-wire solutions, you have to have a CPE that looks like this, that converts the bridge back into Ethernet again. And guess what? We've actually integrated this PN1 into the actual phone itself. So in the back of these phones, you'll actually see an RJ11 jack. These are the jacks that appear in everybody's home, typically in the kitchen, that you could just plug right into the wall. As long as the infrastructure is supported with one of these gateways, it'll actually do a conversion from the Ethernet over across two-wire and then back into Ethernet. I always think that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and let me go ahead and describe this here. So in most businesses, residences, and SMBs, you have a place where Ethernet comes in, and Ethernet comes in always across Cat5 or Cat6 into the switch. But in the actual network switch on the router or on the switch, you can actually take that switch and plug one of the ports into the 24, the 8, or the PN1. The great news is that this switch will feed internet into one of our port switches over the green line. So anything that's green is Cat 5 and Cat 6. And then from there, what you'll typically run into in the closet is like a 66 block where it converts, where all you have is a 2-wire rat's nest. When you walk in there, you'll see these wires that are multicolors, red, green, blue, white. I mean, you name it, it's there. And that's a 2-wire infrastructure that's across here in all the red wire. And what you'll see here is that this will actually convert that Ethernet into RJ11 jacks where you can bridge it and go across 2-wire, and ultimately in each room or office or in the SMB have a 2-wire phone at the other end that will decode and provide that type of interface into each of the different rooms. You might only have a one case where many offices only want to have access control at the front gate that's at the back door, or maybe if they have a very large house at the front gate. But unfortunately, it takes a lot of money to have Cat 5 rewired all the way from the home or the office all the way to the front gate. Well, we've actually developed a PN1 where we have a one port that enables you to connect any of our access control, in fact, anything for that matter. You can actually use a third-party intercom, video camera, anything that's IP across a PN1, across 2-wire, and this PN1 will actually enable you to put any IP endpoint at the other end while using the existing 2-wire infrastructure that's already in place. A little bit more deeper about the phones itself. This is the X303. It provides all the basic features that you would want across 2-wire, because most of the people that have a budget that want to stay with this have limited budget and endpoints. So we want to keep it from a low to a basic to a moderate phone capability, still giving you 4 SIP lines, color screen, all the different core features that most people have, including things like call parking, if indeed your PBX supports that. Beyond that, we also have hospitality phones. Hospitality phones, we could go ahead and actually modify this faceplate, and we actually have an actual form online that you can go ahead and put in the phones or the hotel's logo and customize these keys to fit all the specific logo capabilities doing that. My idea here is not to go into the details on how to do it. We have that capability. You could reach out to Gentek or myself for any guidance of when you come across that, but we provide all the basic feature sets that partners look for in terms of going after that line. Now, in the gateway, we actually have several different features. We have gateway solutions on an 8-port, 24-port. This actually fits inside it. And of course, we have a 1-port as well, okay, that you can go ahead and connect to all the parties. And actually, so that fits in the actual closet room, and the phones will fit in actually all of the different offices on the other end of the switch. Again, here, the good news is that this is a passive switch. You don't have to necessarily, when you install this, you're not installing this on the actual switch. This switch is invisible to all the PBX engines that are out there. You will go ahead and deploy it to the actual phone, just like you would in a normal Cat 5 situation. And this just sits there and serves as a bridge to make you overcome that 2-wire infrastructure. Now let's move into intercom and broadcasting.
Tommy, is it a good time to interrupt? I'm sorry. Is it a good time to interrupt with a couple of questions?
Absolutely. I'm here. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Bob here's asking, does the PN24 have a 24-pair Amphenol connector that we can use to connect to a punch-down block?
Ah, very good question. We as a vendor has not developed that pair, but I do know as an accessory there is a cable. I don't have it listed with me that allows all these 24 ports to go into an Amphenol cable, so that it allows you to punch in all of these cables onto this port. And on the other end is that classic, I think they call like an RJ66 or something like that, Amphenol cable that will plug in to the 66 block, enabling that easy connection to doing that. So we don't do it, but I have seen those cables put in from a third party. There's lots of third party people that provide an RJ11 to an Amphenol cable adapter, should I say.
Okay, another question. Does the PN1 support PoE?
Yes, it does. In fact, the PN1, one of the nice things about the PN1 is that not only can it support just our 2-wire, but it could also support any brand of IP product. The primary reason why the PN1 can do that is because it has limitless power source, because with the PN8 and PN24, it only has a limited amount of power, but we optimize the 2-wire phone so that you can occupy all 24 ports and all 8 ports with our, Fanvil phones. Now, to be truthful, you can actually explore other brands, but other brands of phones might end up using more power, so that a 24 port might end up behaving like a 20 port, as long as it keeps the PoE or the power consumption consistent with what the endpoint needs are. So that, to avoid, making things confusing from a warranty perspective, we recommend using our endpoints, but if you want to veer off and using other brands or other devices that have higher consumption, that is basically at their own risk. Can it be done? Absolutely. In that case, you would put a 24 or an 8 port at the gateway and actually use a PN1 as the CPE at the room, so that you can balance the power consumption rise. But I don't want to get too technical, but the answer is yes, the PN1 does support PoE.
We have one more sort of series of questions, and then maybe we'll move on and do another question session in a bit. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'm going to be
Okay.
here for as long. Yeah.
Nicholas is asking about the PN1 824. Can they be configured in FDMCS?
Yes, it can. In fact, the FDMCS it's basically invisible to it, because as I mentioned earlier, these are what I call passive switches, so that once you have it in place and then you put the phones on the other end, as far as FDMCS or any other management PBX or any other management software that you use, it's actually invisible to the end user. You will provision it just like you would provision the X303 phone or an H1 phone on the other end, and it can't, the switch basically is invisible to any management software.
So the X303 can be configured, and the Linkville phones, can they be configured?
That is correct. Well,
Okay.
The Linkville phones is a wireless one, and I'm going to go over some of the details in that, because what makes the 303 unique is that within this phone, there is actually that PN1 that's integrated into the phone itself, which simplifies the end user experience, the integrator's experience, because the integrator, if they were using an external brand or another phone that's outside of the 303 or the H1, it doesn't have that PN1 logic integrated inside the phone. So the back of these phones will be RJ11, which is already compatible with the legacy analog, but internally it operates as an IP phone.
Okay. I will let you go on. Thank you for addressing those.
No problem.
I think there was a question from Andrea's asking if we are carrying any white phones. Andrea, we do carry the X212 white as in stock. If you need another models of the white phone, you can contact your TDL Gentek salesperson, and then
Yes.
they can relate to us for sure.
Yeah, as I'm showing right now, even our V series, we have a V62G, which is our white phone here. It's one of our basic lower cost model phones, but it's actually very fully featured with 12 SIP lines, dual gigabit PoE and everything. But it also has all of these different features, but it also provides it in white if you need that for your reference. Now moving on to intercom and broadcasting, I'm more than easily to answer any questions here, but I'll stay behind on the Q&A session to answer any follow-up questions. I'll stay here as long as I need to do that. Now in the intercom and broadcasting, we have several different outdoor models, which is actually ruggedized to handle IP66 type of ruggedized specifications for outdoor models with and without video. We have indoor units as well. That's actually smaller form factor. These fit in most of the typical power boxes that you can actually staple in. So if you actually have a power box installed, you can actually install these units pretty easily. One of our famous units is our PA adapters. This is a great way to be able to take a cloud-based PBX and be able to introduce multicasting throughout all the different offices. And as well, it also serves as a bridge so that if you have a legacy speaker system that's already working, you can use this adapter to interface to a Viking, to all of these different amplifiers that are working into an IP system, so that you can now power legacy speakers with this over a SIP system. Here, again, I'm not here to go ahead and get into detail, but we have healthcare devices that do the same, which actually provides great access, because that we have intercom systems that designed for healthcare, which we allow lanyards for the elderly to put around their neck to press a panic button, and it can do things like set off alarms and all these type of things. IP speakers, as well as console paging units. Very often nurses or anybody else will have these nursing units, and they want to see the compilation of all the calls, or actually have a paging system that they want to see all the people that want to page into them. We have units that actually cater to all of those different segments of the marketplace. The latest one that we actually introduced is the A12 and A12V. The difference is that the A12 doesn't support video, but the A12V does. And it's come up with a very unique design, as I mentioned, about ruggedization. It supports IP66, which means you can take a garden hose, spray at it, and it will withstand all the different harshness. And it supports, especially up in Canada, minus 40 degrees C to minus 70 degrees C in operations. All of these things really is capable of being able to do group calls, paging, and to do lots of different ways. And you can actually manage this as a SIP endpoint to do many of the different callings that you need for a simple one button push. Outside of the outdoor, we have indoor units. The great thing about this is that this is also Wi-Fi compatible, which is great. You can actually outfit this in your own home if you wanted to, and use your Wi-Fi system so that you can actually press a call and say, hey kids, dinner's ready, come on down. And you could do the same type of implementation at home as well. To implement these things, if you only have internal communications, you don't necessarily need a third-party PBX. And because it's an IP product, you can go IP to IP and not have to worry about having any switches, as long as it's internal only. Then we have the gateways, PA2S, which is something that we came to market with. This is very famous because not only can it support audio, but it also has a relay internally, so that you can go into things like parking lots and being able to have a SIP-based hotel or an SMB, complex to give a call, provide a push button. This machine will allow the gates to open and allow gateways to go through. But if your application happens to be audio only, you could then use the PA3, of which we up the fidelity of audio only, where it doesn't have to do that. And you can actually use this to really multicast different zones to really speak to many of the different speakers that you want on IP. And if you have IP speakers, then this will speak directly to the speakers as well. If they're analog speakers, then you could actually put in a PA3 to make that interpret back into an IP interface so that you can speak with analog schedule as well. These are all the different items that we have. If you want a copy of this, feel free to reach out to Aaron or Newman, and they'll be more than happy to give you a copy of this presentation moving forward. Then, of course, something was mentioned earlier is our cloud-based management. One of the things that we actually have that we've actually done here is that we have video door accesses besides intercoms. This brings it a little bit different because with door access, if you may want to have the gateway of your front door, you may want to access every single staffer who walks into your building, or you may want to keep the doors open during open retail hours. All of these are configurable, starting from very narrow one button pushing to keyboard, ranging all the way up to high-end units, which actually have a listing of either contacts and supporting facial recognition. Along with the outdoor units, we also have indoor stations. What are really indoor stations? They're really a way to monitor what these outdoor access units, which they all have cameras, so you can see who is out there, and it provides really a very simple interface. You could also do this without phones too, by the way. But with lacking of phones, you can have this mounted on a wall, and depending on models, you can have this on a desktop and being able to see who's at the door. And you can actually do a touch screen so that if you push in, if they happen to be a friendly, that will automatically release a relay and allow them to go ahead and do that. And then a recent add-on, we also have the capability of putting FCMS where not only can you actually see it and have access in the room, we're actually providing mobile capabilities so that people on their smartphones can actually download either on an Android store or go to the iOS store on Apple, download this, what we call the Fanvil Link app, and be able to get hooked in so that remotely you can allow people access to your home, your multi-dwelling unit, your SMB, what have you. So what we've done is we've actually compiled all of this basic kit where you can actually have the basic unit here, an indoor station, as well as the ability to go ahead and support mobile. It's almost like a sample way to kind of test out to see what you have, all available in one kit, in one box, to make that implementation very simple. Once you get this working, the rest of the units are identically the same. You can go higher in terms of its capabilities, but this is a kind of a great way to kind of sample test all of its different functions. Again, a little bit about the cloud-based management platform. It provides a little bit more than just a mobile unit. It's actually been designed here to be used as a property management platform. We actually design things business to business so that in many MDUs, you have someone that's responsible for managing the determination or the new hiring of new employees. That person handles it off-site, so you can actually assign a property management function so that they can have an easy way of taking contacts in, taking it out without having to bother the integrator. Now, on the other hand, many integrators can play an IT role that allows them to go ahead and be the IT person for either a dental office or an attorney's office, and you can play both roles. So it's really, really flexible. Besides providing mobile access, you can actually assign roles and assign different capabilities to this platform. So it goes well deep into different capabilities. And I'll be more than happy to do a deep dive with any partner that's out there that's interested in doing these type of things. Whoops, sorry about that. Wow, okay.
So Rope is just asking, are these NDA approved products?
Yes, all of our products are NDAA approved because the good news, even with these assigned products, we actually use the local Amazon servers. We don't go back into the blacklisted countries of components, because as we build these products, we realize that there are components that we can't build with just to be NDAA compliant. Yes, we are NDAA in that factor, and in very small cases when we have to ramp production in facilities outside of China, we actually have a production facility in Vietnam, so that on a case-by-case basis, if volumes are high enough, we can actually move production over to Vietnam to work to basically qualify to win any particular projects. Now for that kit, a little bit of that kit, that indoor station is just one station that you can use, and then we actually provide the mobile access link. And again, this link is linked to the Amazon network and not necessarily a network, tied in China or anything like that moving forward. And in addition, we actually have the keypad. This provides a little bit more of a description on what you need to do. And yes, all of these components are NDAA compliant as well. In the integrated solution here, besides just the home, you can actually have indoor stations that are actually inside to monitor. You can use broadcast systems to really see where these intercoms come in and play into it. The idea here is that whether it's wireless, intercom, speakers, we actually access all of the endpoints. It's really the point where the SIP technology touches the human being. It's when they go ahead and pick up the phone, they access the units, and yet they're not involved in dealing with the technology that's behind the walls. We internally as a business see the technology behind it, but we provide the endpoints that surround all these technologies so that the end user can actually, make use of this technology. That kind of ends the access points, and now I'm going to kind of get into some of our Linkville solutions. One of the differentiators I want to talk about is we actually came out with a couple of handset solutions out there. We have both Wi-Fi Halo, DECT, as well as Wi-Fi solutions, in addition to some of the conferencing and headset solutions. But let me concentrate on the Wi-Fi solution here, which is where we differentiate from some of the other competitive solutions that are out there. We have an idea called Wi-Fi Halo. And the reason why we call it Halo is that it complies with a standardized technology, 802.11.AH. And what this AH means is that this is an open technology which we allow for that is not proprietary to Fanvil. In fact, this technology is actually used for video wireless communication. Fanvil has decided to take that standardized technology and use it for audio only, and the end result is absolutely phenomenal. In summary, it actually provides 2, if not 3 times the distance of DECT while costing exactly the same. In fact, because its range can reach up to 700 meters, up to 100 meters indoors. What does that mean is that 100 meters indoors means that if the office could fit inside of a football field, then guess what? One base station would be able to do that, and you don't have to worry about DECT extenders. One base station would be able to reach all the different corners of that unit and be able to deploy up to 30 different handsets within that unit. This is really a differentiating product as well, and it's ideal for enterprises, malls, hotels. And the idea here is that it's actually a cost-saving solution because DECT's been around for like the past 15 to 17 years. It's a very mature technology. It's also very good because it's used quite a few places, but this really takes it the next step where we provide twice, if not longer than the idea for indoor spec, but actually 3 times outdoors. What does that mean for the integrator? That means that you don't have to do a field assessment. You could walk into a place and say, oh, I can easily cover this with one base station. So you save time in not being able to deploy this. And if it's much larger, this can also scale to have multiple stations. And let me talk a little bit about that. You could have a single cell solution, which will cover most of the units where restaurants and everything that can fit inside of a football field. And you can have one station up to 30, handle up to 30 handsets, but it also scales so that if you have an enterprise solution that has a multi-cell, you can actually use the same base station to manage other base stations and actually handle up to 300 wireless handsets going across. Again, here, I'm not trying to go in and try to talk details, but that capability does exist. If you want a deeper dive, feel free to reach out to Newman or myself. I'll be more than happy to have a 3-way call amongst all of our partners and give you a deep dive solution on what the true capabilities of this is. Beyond that, of course, we also have the DECT cordless phone. Again, most of the people here have used cordless DECT. We also provide a DECT solution as well. Some people are very tied into technology. The good news is that we also provide this type of solution as well for DECT. But, again, this level of differentiation is minimized, but at least if you want differentiation one further, I would explore Halo. Beyond DECT, we also have Wi-Fi phones. We actually have a ruggedized Wi-Fi phone that's here, as well as a commercial Wi-Fi phone that's here. The good news about this is that it supports both 2.4, Wi-Fi 6, and it also has the capability of putting a Bluetooth headset. So if you want to actually mount this on your bag or in your pocket or what have you and still use a headset, you can still all that, but also having push to talk button where you can actually have an emergency button on the side screen of this phone. One of the unique things about this phone, by the way, that goes across not only this Wi-Fi phone is that on this side and this other side, it actually provides a one-click differentiation where you could actually have DSS keys that will actually come up. And with our ruggedized phone, it actually provides IP67 waterproofing, which means that you can actually take this phone, dip it into a vase that has filled with water, and it will still work, in a vase and being able to answer a call. Sometimes, that's not going to happen, but it gives you the idea of how ruggedized this phone is. But it also works in conjunction for operating in atmospheres outside of the harsh environment in a typical office environment for Wi-Fi. Concluding, now we have a couple of demo programs almost coming to a close. We work very closely with Gentek to provide an NFR program, which is really the not for resale. Many people who haven't explored or want to explore new technologies, feel free to give Newman a call or anybody at Gentek a call. And then we have the ability to be able to bundle either our V series, several different models, our XU, some of our Halo phones, as well as our Wi-Fi phones at a bundled price so that you don't necessarily have to pay, the standard wholesale price. This will be just a one-time shot where you can go ahead and explore and really provide the ability. And that's something that Fanvil helps sponsor Gentek in, to enable a test drive vehicle to go ahead and explore our new products. Beyond that, we also have a project registration incentive. So all the partners that are out there, if you happen to accumulate 30 or more units, then there's a tiering program where you can have 10 phones coupled with 2 intercoms, coupled with a couple of other different models. If you actually total 3 or more, we can actually have a discount of 2% or more as higher, depending on quantity that moves forward. Or in addition, if you actually look at some of our focus products, where it's the V62 Pro or V66 Pro, we'll add an additional 2%, making a 2% into a 4% rebate coming back into you. So these are the different types of things, and you can use this URL to register your program so that once it comes through, we'll go ahead and hand these rebates back to Gentek and ultimately having that cost savings coming back to the end user. That's all I have for now. I'll pass the mic back on to Aaron and Newman for now, and I'll open myself for any questions that you might have in the field.
Thank you. I'm sure that Aaron will go over some of the questions that I see. One of the questions that seeing the slides sometimes is turning blurry. I have the same experience too. I don't know what happened, but the good thing is everybody will be able to see and receive the slides after the presentation. So Aaron, go ahead.
I missed a question from Roger. Is FDMS free to use?
Yes, the Fanvil device management is totally free. You can use that, and the Fanvil device management system is a device platform that is compatible with all of our products, whether it's intercom, access control, all of these different things. And it's something that we provide free of charge to all of our partners that are out there. Included with it is also a redirection server, so that if you happen to have your own provisioning server, we could just provide just a redirection alone, or coupled with Fanvil device management system if you want to use ours to provision the phones as well. The only other management solution we have that I mentioned is FCMS, which, sorry about the acronyms, which is just the mobile application. And if you decide to go with our access control, you have to decide what you actually want. For access control, you could either use the Fanvil device or the Fanvil cloud management system, but I don't suggest using both. You don't want to have 2 different provisioning servers conflicting with each other. But the answer to your question is yes, it is free of charge for the Fanvil device. There is an NRE charge, which is just a one-time fee, very, very modest for the cloud management. And we use that fee basically to help reimburse the usage of the Amazon cloud-based server that's used to host all of the personal information that is uploaded onto that.
I don't know that I've... Will this be antibacterial? I'm not sure what that was regarding.
I think, Tommy, that Andrew is asking for the V62G. I don't think the white version is antibacterial, right, Tommy?
No, it isn't. The antibacterial is only available on the V65 and V66. Yeah, those plastics are made on the higher end. They cost a little bit more, I guess, but they're reserved more for the V65 and V66 phones. But the V62 is more of a basic phone, and that one doesn't have antibacterial.
But the V65 and 66 does not have the white color, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. If
right. I just want to confirm that because Andres was looking for white color, and it looks like that she's looking for the antibacterial white color phones for her medical. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? One thing that you might explore, I'm not sure if it has antibacterial or not. We have a senior phone, which is the X305. It has bigger buttons, but if it's something that's going into senior living, The buttons are a little bit bigger, but that is white, and it may or may not support antibacterial off the top of my head, but I'll have to look that up. I could take that as an action item, frankly, to see if whether or not that supports it, but I do know that that's white, and it may or may not support it, but I'll have to double check.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
I think there's someone asking about
We have a
FDMS free to use cloud management monthly fee. Tommy?
There is no monthly fee on any of our solutions. FDMS is totally free of charge from beginning to end. Even the one that's associated with the CloudLink solution, FCMS, which is only associated with our access control only, there's only a one-time NRE at the very beginning when it's deployed. Once it's deployed, there is no reoccurring monthly fee for that. You could just download it for applications, and it's only a one-time fee for the installation of it. And once that's done, there is no reoccurring monthly cost afterwards. When you buy the kit, it actually comes with 5 licenses included with it as well. So if you have a family of 5, you can actually deploy that in your home. Or if you have an office with 5 people that need remote access, it's already done within the kit. Or believe it or not, if you can buy our access control coupled with 1 indoor station, just by the fact that you bought 1 indoor station, that comes with 5 licenses as well. And so that's something that we provide as a bonus if you want to go ahead and buy the indoor hardware along with our access control. But no reoccurring cost.
I have a question. Hassam's got their hand raised, and I've tried to enable your mic if you want to try and unmute yourself, but it might not work in the chat box. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if I've allowed the mic, but I'm not getting any questions. Hassam, there's your question. Any plan for analog auto answer phone?
Analog? No. All of the items that we do are all IP based. That's sort of a common thread throughout all of our products. They're all IP and they're all SIP based. So if you happen to be working with a cloud-based SIP manufacturer, and there are dozens of them out there, we spend a lot of resources working in the IP environment. And there are quite a few people that are providing very, very cost-effective analog solutions. And we don't necessarily want to go there, especially in the hospitality units or any of the analogs. There's more than enough supply out there, and we're not going to look into providing analog solutions from an endpoint perspective. Everything is IP. When I walked into some of the security stores, retail, I remember many years ago, the IP section used to just take a corner of the store. Now it's actually taken up like 25 to 30% of many stores moving forward. So I see the trend moving out of analog going into IP shortly, and it's a trend that's continuing to grow.
Okay, back to the chat. Okay, in the chat, Newman, we'll maybe take down your if you could write your email address, or I could probably find it from the
Yeah, it's actually
registration.
on the slide at the beginning.
Oh no, I'm sorry. The question in the chat would appreciate the sales department could contact them. They have a small project for which they'd like to request a cost estimate from the company. So absolutely.
Yeah. If you can, Aaron, if you can extract the email address for Solomon, then we can find out the company and the reps that are responsible for that account.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for providing the email. That's as an installer, do we need any certification, for your products?
No, all you need to do is to be a partner of Gentek, and we're all set.
Great.
Super.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have auxiliary things online to if you want to dig deeper, for those that are interested in the geeky side of this business, we have some tests, but it's not a requirement. You can go ahead and take it if you want to, because there are many newcomers into this field coming in from the analog line, series. You can take it, but that's purely optional. Some people are interested, some are not, but they are available if it's something that you want to take. But it's not a requirement to become a partner. Just be a partner of Gentek, and you're all set.
Perfect. Thank you, Tommy. And
Mhm.
if there's no more questions for now, and everybody, you can either write down my email address and Tommy's email address, and we'll be able to get back to you. And Solomon, I'm going to send you a quick email right after this webinar, so we can connect and help you through. Otherwise, thanks for everybody for the webinar, and thank you, Tommy, for joining us and helping
Thank
us
you, everybody.
to talk about the Fanvil's good stuff and technology. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you,
I'll see
everybody.
you next time.
Mhm.